One of the coolest shipwreck stories in American history took place right here behind me. In 1693, the Spanish galleon Santo Cristo de Burgos vanished while operating on the long-established trade route between Manila in the Philippines and Acapulco in New Spain, modern-day Mexico. Its regular cargo was beeswax for Catholic missions in the New World, as well as Asian luxury goods such as Chinese porcelain and silk. The trade route was incredibly lucrative, but it was also perilous. A 12,000-mile storm-ridden journey, especially in winter, which is when the Santo Cristo de Burgos was lost. So where did the ship go down? In 1806, the Lewis and Clark expedition concluded its 3,700-mile journey at the Pacific Ocean, near present-day Astoria, Oregon. There, they met the Clatsop, the area's indigenous people, who traded in large chunks of beeswax. Later traders and explorers also mentioned trading beeswax with the Clatsop, some of which bore Spanish markings. The local peoples also told stories of a great boat that had once run aground in the area, spilling its contents into the sea. At the time, fragments of that ship were still visible at low tide. Because of this, the vessel was nicknamed the Beeswax Wreck. The Santo Cristo de Burgos' crew included roughly 230 men. Indigenous writings from the 19th century tell of a shipwreck from which most of the crew survived and swam ashore, meeting the local population, the first time anyone north of what is today called California encountered whites. The account explains how the castaways lived near the natives for several months before being massacred after likely attempting to have their way with the native women. Hundreds of years later, debris from the wreck continues to wash up on shore. In 2021, I joined Craig Andes, a commercial fisherman, very early one morning before sunrise, scouring the beach for pieces of blue and white Chinese porcelain, which glow faintly when struck by flashlight beams. I brought several artifacts home with me. Craig is the one responsible for first spotting timber beams in a sea cave just off Short Sands Beach, roughly 30 miles south of Astoria. The beach is a popular tourist spot, but the sea caves are almost entirely inaccessible. I know, I've tried, meaning what's inside them has remained undisturbed. Craig relayed their location to Astoria's Maritime Archaeological Society, who partnered with National Geographic to recover more than a dozen timbers, the largest of which was 7.5 feet long and weighed more than 300 pounds. The wood was determined to be tropical hardwood from Asia or South America, and radiocarbon dating revealed it was likely 300 years old. That makes this the first time that the remains of a Manila galleon have been recovered in North America. Archaeologists now believe that the Santo Cristo de Burgos was blown far off course in a winter gale, running aground off the future Oregon coast, and that a tsunami in the late 1700s broke its hull in half, washing the bow into the rocks and sea cave and dumping the stern section somewhere just offshore. Stories of the wreck were wildly exaggerated as Euro-American settlers built communities up and down the coast, and treasure hunters soon descended on the region, digging up the land with shovels and even bulldozers for supposed Spanish gold until the late 20th century. Oh, and if the aforementioned Astoria, Oregon sounds familiar, that's because, among the many movies shot there, it is most famously the setting for 1985's The Goonies, about a group of kids who search the Oregon coast for treasure from a 17th century pirate ship. And yes, Steven Spielberg said he was inspired by the legends of the Beeswax Wreck. Stay curious, my friends.